Hello and welcome to Fast Fact Friday, brought to you by the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund and their super excited communications team. Today we're talking about Dillon's rule, which is extraordinarily important to local lawmaking because it's exactly what the people in power will cite when they tell you that you can't pass a local law that makes your community healthier or safer. So most states follow Dillon's rule as the law of the land. We have 10 states that claim to have home rule, and a few states that have a blend of Dillon's rule and home rule. People say these rules are profoundly different, but when you zoom out, you realize they're more alike than you'd think. State governments supposedly get their authority from the people of that state, who create and empower their government to act on their behalf and in their best interests. In the same way, people in towns and cities also collectively give authority to their local governments and consent to be governed by the body they empower. Why else would we create governments except to protect our rights and our best interests? Here's the frustrating part. People are taught we are the source of government power, both state and local, but in reality, because of a manipulated system and some frustrating judicial decisions, somehow the state governments claim to be the source of authority for our local governments rather than the people in those towns and cities. Every state government, both those operating under Dillon's rule and home rule, believes itself to be a parent whose cities and towns are its children. Under our system of government, states have the power to tell towns what to do or what not to do. And the people cannot legally empower their own local governments to protect the health and safety of the community without the state's approval. Unfortunately, states don't give this approval because they'd rather force towns to accept unhealthy, unsafe conditions so that corrupt elected officials and corporations can still make a profit. There is one main difference between Dillon's rule and home rule. With Dillon's rule, towns can only pass laws that state statute allows towns to pass. With home rule, towns can pass local laws about anything that state statute doesn't yet prohibit. Of course, home rule states pass prohibitions on anything that threatens capitalism, property rights, or the status quo of degrading the environment for profit. In the end, power concedes nothing without a demand. Right now, power is concentrated in the hands of a few, a wealthy elite minority, and those few want to pretend to act on our behalf while really their only concern is making money by either exploiting us for our labor or our community resources. Courts will not enforce laws that challenge the status quo, and states are too slow and too performative to give us anything other than a platform to negotiate the terms of our certain demise. So how can we revoke our consent from a system that's built to work against us and start enforcing laws based on compassion and logic, not ecological destruction and human oppression? For more information on Dillon's rule, head over to celdef.org. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week for our first community suggested topic. And remember, before I get a call from one of the lawyers, this is for information only and should not be taken as legal advice. Don't take legal advice from a YouTube video.